Hello, hello. Hey guys. Sorry about my chair creaking. It's Terry from Smooth Workshop here. And after reviewing some of the footage of a build that I did, which I aimed at beginners, um, which was a Revell 112 Star Wars X-Wing, which you can see completed in front of you. I started this off looking at a beginner's aspect of what tools you might need if you are thinking of starting up the hobby, new to the hobby, or, even maybe some of the more experienced guys might pick up a wee couple of tips from this. But yeah, um, by the way, I just thought I would show this off. My wee Rebel X-Wing. Okay. Oh, his cockpit lights up and the engines light up and everything like that. That's a £6 kit. But anyway, um, the following video, the reason I put the X-Wing in there is I've taken it from footage of build video number 1 of my Revell X-Wing, which was over an hour long. But it's important, the bit that's important to people who are new to modelling or starting up modelling, even some that have been modelling for ages, is some of the tools that you might need. And I'm on about basic tools here. I'm not on about airbrushes and fancy compressors and stuff like that. It's just about the basics, tweezers, pliers, sanders, cutters, glues, that sort of thing. So what I've decided to do is re-edit build video number 1 for my Revell X-Wing fighter and pop it up here just as a sort of, hey guys, new to modelling, here's an idea of some of the things you'll need. I mean, I don't go into full scale into a lot of tips and tricks that I use, just more about the tools that I use. I mean, it could be something as simple as, right, say you've got a pot of Citadel paint, right, and you pop the lid open, right, and it keeps falling back, and it's like, oh, can I get my brush into it? Something as simple as taking a crocodile clip, opening the bottle, right, and clipping it across, holding the lid open. That's the kind of things I want to share with you guys, but I'm not really going into that part of it and the tips and tricks in this section. It's about basic tools. It's about paintbrushes. It's about glue. It's about sanding things, cutting things off your sprue. Oh, boing. Holding on to things with tweezers. How to put your decals on. Stuff like that. So, after reviewing the footage, because I spent a lot of time doing the build video series on this one, I thought I would take the part that discusses what tools you might need as a new model builder to get started in your hobby, and take that section out of build video number 1 and make it smaller. And hopefully it's not so much a how-to, it's I'm going to word it as how to start up in modelling, what tools you need. But it's obviously a show and tell. It's my opinion of what tools you'll need. So it's not really a how-to, but I thought I'd put it in the how-to section. I don't know what section to put it in. So often watch a video. It will refer a lot to my X-Wing because I went quite a lot in the X-Wing because it's a level 3 beginner's kit, apart from I put LEDs in it. So you will find references to the X-Wing, but the rest of it is all about tools and things that you might need in your hobby as a modeler. You might be like myself, coming back to the hobby after bringing up your family and stuff like that, and there's so many new things on the market. It's just a wee bit of a generalised what you might need, what might make things easier. So without any further ado, off and watch the video. See you in a bit. Bye. Hi guys, welcome back. Terry's from Smooth Workshop here. Okay, this Rebel kit. It's a level 3 kit, so it's aimed at beginners. There's not a lot of parts to it that I've already explained. I have cut some parts off because I'm a bit of a step ahead, but you're going to be working with these two sprues for just now. I'm going to do a quick run through of, obviously as this kit is aimed at a beginner, a few basic tools you'll need. So in order to cut these parts off the sprue, you're ideally going to need a set of sprue cutters. Now these are Tamiya ones, but there's lots of different sprue cutters out there. These have got a particularly fine point in them for getting in round about. What a sprue cutter does is, this is your sprue, and all your parts are mounted with little tabs, and I'm not going to cut these parts off, but this is one of the tabs, and if you can imagine there's a part on here. Your sprue cutter goes in and lets you cut close to the part and take it off. So that way, especially if it's kids that's doing it, they don't need to use a sharp knife. Okay, so if kids are going to be doing it, you're better with sprue cutters. You can do it with a knife, but you tend to find when you're pressing down on the part close to it that it doesn't give you the best effect. A cutting device is the best. So something to cut the parts from a sprue with. If children are making this kit, do supervise them with knives. These are really sharp scalpel blades. I use an X-Acto number 11 in mine. These can be used for opening up holes, trimming off excess, stuff like that, but a kid won't need to use this if you get them sprue cutters, because you can sand the extra little nub that's left on the part away. So something like that. Now if you're not going to be using a knife for trimming back, then you're going to need some sort of sanders. Now Ultimate Modelling Products make a range of sanders. What have I got here? In different grits. Now the lower the number, the rougher the grit is. I can't mind what some of these are, but I mean, this is a really coarse one. This one's finer, and even finer on the back. I tend not to use those two. I use this thinny stick, which is 220 on both sides, so that's 220 grits per square centimetre or inch. So you're going to need something to sand back the bits that are left on your part. I also like these as well. They're for Ultimate Modelling Products as well. It's a buffy stick. One side has a really fine grit of 3000, and the buffer side is like 15,000. So you go in with your 220, get as close as you can to the part, then you go in with the 3000, take it all nice and smooth, and then you buff it up. So that's how you get rid of the nubs. So something to sand. If you haven't got these, you can use different grits of sandpaper, but you work from the coarse up to the finer ones. So from the lower number, like say 100 grit, up to 200, which is smoother, up to 400, which is smoother still, up to 600, and you can go like that. But I tend to just use these two. Sometimes you might find actually that small files are handy. I've got a selection of files here. They're really cheap, and they're in different shapes, and you can also use these for taking the worst of nubs back and opening things up. So there's a flat file, there's a half round one, so it's flat at the bottom and curved at the top. There's a triangular one for getting into tight spaces, a round one that's tapered for getting into holes, and a square one. They're really handy. They're not a must. Really handy if you've got a set of files. Right, You might get some really small parts. I've got quite big sausage fingers, so you're going to need something to sometimes hold them. Now, worth getting in your arsenal. I mean, these are really cheap. I got them off eBay. It's called reverse tweezers. These are normal tweezers where you squeeze them to grip the part, and when you let go, it lets the part go. Reverse tweezers are already clamped. You squeeze them to let the part go. So if you need to hold something small while you're painting it, or you know, whatever you're doing to it, these are really handy. So these are called reverse tweezers. So they're normally clamped and you squeeze to open them. I've got a couple other pairs of tweezers here. These are just got a fine point on them, and these ones have got an angled point for getting in. So just a couple of pairs of tweezers. So that's you cut the part, sanded it, or filed it. You can pick up small parts. You're going to need to glue the thing together. So I have 3 different types of glue here, actually 4. I'll just pull this one out as well. The first glue here is a hot glue. I'll be using that in some instances. It's Tamiya Extra Thin Cement. It's a capillary action glue. I'll explain that when I start using it. But that's one kind of glue. The Tamiya White Top is a thick gloopy glue. That is your traditional polystyrene cement. It takes a bit longer to cure, but it has its applications as well. This is one of my preferred ones. Again, this is a gloopy glue. This is Humbrol Precision Poly Cement. But what it has is it has a very fine applicator. You've got to watch that you don't keep putting your top on so it doesn't block up. But that allows you to put very small drops of glue where you want to put it. I do like that. I use that quite a lot. I usually use the Precision Poly and the Extra Thin, and in some instances where it's big parts and I've got big parts to grab, I'll use the White Top Tamiya. Right, there are clear parts in this kit. When you stick clear parts onto the other polystyrene or styrene parts, you don't want to use something like the Extra Thin. If you ever get a clear part and put that on, it mists it up and makes it go all white and cloudy. I've actually forgot one type of glue. I'll put that on the end here. Same with the White Top and the Precision Poly. It tends to interact with the clear plastic, so it's not a good thing to do. Another glue, CA glue or super glue, comes in gel or thin or whatever you want. It's handy for if you're doing a kit with photo etch or something like that, but don't use it on canopies. It will frost them up as well, so don't use super glue. Also, super glue is this extra thin stuff, right, the hot glue. When you put the 2 bits of plastic together, it actually melts it and they knit together. Okay, and it actually melts the 2 parts together. The goopy glues do the same, but more slowly. It's not as quick acting. Super glue or CA glue, when you put the 2 parts together, it's just contact. It doesn't melt the parts together. So if you apply force either way, you can actually shear it off and the part can just come away again. So it's not good for applications where you're needing tensile strength. Okay, so that's the CA glue. Right, going back to the clear parts. What you want to use, this is the stuff I like, is micro crystal clear. Some people call it canopy glue. In America, I'm just going to go into the next one. It's very similar, this, to PVA, your standard PVA craft glue. It dries clear. In America, from American friends, this PVA glue is known as Elmer's glue. I'm not advertising them, but any craft PVA glue. You can do it with that as well. So that's glues. I think I've pretty much got them covered. There is another type of glue, but we'll not be using it on this model. It's for a different type of plastic and I'm waiting on it coming. So that's glues. So you've cut your parts off, okay, and you've sanded them and filed them and they're all nice and smooth and everything, and you've got your glue and you can glue them together, yeah. But sometimes, now this is exaggerated obviously, sometimes you'll get a gap where two parts go together. Even though you've glued it and squidged it and all the rest of it, you still get a little gap. You may need some filler. Now the stuff I like to use is perfect plastic putty. It's water soluble, so you can put it on and smooth it off with water. It does shrink a little bit, but it tends not to crack, so that's what I like to use. There's lots of different kinds of filler. I mean, here's quite a hot one. That's Mr. Primer Surfacer 1000 by Mr. Hobby. Each one has its applications, but for general filling I use perfect plastic putty. So that's a filler if you've got any gaps. Right, what else? Okay, you may find when you're doing test fits and stuff, or you want to mask things off, you can use masking tape. Tamiya do a range of sizes and rolls at different thicknesses, 12mm, I think that's 8mm, it's about 5mm, 3mm and 2mm. They're handy for, you know, if you want to paint one bit one colour and another bit another colour, you can mask off the area so that you can paint the other bit. If you're doing it by brush, it doesn't really matter so much if you've got a steady hand, but I use an airbrush. I'll go into paints later when we're actually painting the model, but this is just basic stuff. So I supply a masking tape. The Tamiya stuff is low tack. If you get masking tape, you want to get low tack. Don't get the stuff from your DIY store that you use for masking your skirting boards or whatever. It's too sticky, and what happens is if you mask on top of paint and you peel it back off, it'll rip your paint back off. So that's masking tape. Other thing you can use on canopies if you don't want to mask them up, or if you've got little small areas that you can't get into mask, there's a liquid masking medium, and you basically paint it on with a little brush and it dries. It's almost like that silicone stuff that you get, and then you do all your painting and then you peel this stuff off and what's underneath won't have the paint on it. So that's a different type of mask. You can use masking tape or you can use mask. They both have their advantages in different situations. That's it, I think. Right, that's the basic tools. Because I'm going to be modifying stuff, I'm going to need to drill little holes here and there. So you can get little twist drills. Now, these are your standard hobby twist drills, going really small sizes for about 0.3 to 1.6 millimeters. Okay, and you get a thing called a pin vise, which is basically a little collet. You put your little drill bit in there and then you tighten it up, and it lets you put, I don't know if you can see that, what have I got? It's a different colour at the background. Nothing really to hand. I'm just trying to see if you can see that. That's a tiny little drill bit. And I keep my most common sizes. So I've got a couple of pin vices. So if you want to drill a hole through something, you know, you just twist it by hand. You do get fancy ones that you can pump up and down, but I find I get more control with that. Because I'm going to be drilling holes, I'm going to use that, but I also have, Now these are actually CNC drill bits. These are what they use in the factories for when they're making printed circuit boards and they're drilling all the holes. The machines are doing it automatically. So I've got some really small sizes in that. Little twist bits with the collars on. So a friend sent me those, and I use them sometimes as well, and I just twist them by hand. So it's not a tool that you'll need in every build, but I will be using it in this build, so I just thought I would throw that in there. So that's the tools. So now what we're going to do is actually go into building the kit. So I'll get prepped for that. See you in a bit. Welcome back. Well guys, I hope you found that useful. I'm not trying to teach you how to suck eggs or anything like that. It's basically the basics that you need for model making. I can go into more detail on other things like thinners, a specific one on glues if you wish it. Things like, you know, cleaning your brushes up. I use this, by the way. That's about £6 in the UK for a little pot like that for cleaning your brushes up. Yeah, different paints, stuff like that. If you want to see me making any videos on that sort of stuff, more than the basics, feel free to use the comment section down below. Let me know what you thought of this video. Obviously, people who have been making models for a while don't need to know all this, but you might pick up one or two wee tips from me. Even things like, you know, you've got a pot of paint like this Steinway primer, and you can spend ages shaking it. But if you add a couple of stainless steel agitator balls to it, made by MIG, which is AMIG 8003, can make your life easier. Just little daft stuff like that. So if you want a tips and tricks section, I can maybe do one of those for you. I'm not going to teach you how to airbrush or anything, but I could do a basic airbrush tutorial. I already have how-tos on, because I use an Iwata Revolution airbrush, which is this one. I cover how to strip and clean it. I've already got a how-to on that. I have a how-to on a couple of weathering techniques, how to do some dry brushing to highlight areas. I also have how-to, obviously it's like show and tell how I do it, not a definitive how-to. How to do an oil pin wash if you're doing metallic subjects. I've also got one on, say you're doing a non-metallic subject like a tank and it's green and you want to do an oil pin wash on that. Stuff like that. Let me know what you want to see, guys. I'll try and make an instructional video on how to do it if I know how. And yeah, as always, I hope you found it informative. This is really aimed at the newcomer or people who are coming back to the hobby that haven't done modelling for ages. Lots of nice products out there to help you with your hobby. So as always, this is Terry from Smooth's Workshop. Do enjoy your hobby and always happy modelling. Bye.